Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a collaboration video where we would be talking entirely about the testing. Now, a lot of you might be thinking why we are doing this video. So recently we have done an end-to-end use case playlist where we have covered the recent use case which was loan processing unit. We have seen how we can create the PDDs, we have seen how we can create the STDs, we have completed the development and we deployed and triggered the automation from the development orchestrator. Now, when we talk about the complete project, once it is done from the developer end, it goes to the testing, which is for the quality assurance, right? So, today's video, we are going to talk about what actually happens in the testing, what are the expertise required and what are the various things we need to take care. I am not an expert in testing, so I have invited a very close friend of mine, UiPath MVP named Deepak Rai. He also have a channel by his name, Deepak Rai, where you would find a lot of testing and UiPath and very much diverse content, right? So the agenda of this video would be we are going to give a brief of automation to Deepak, that what does this automation do, what are the input files, what are the output files, and we are going to explain him the process. Next, since Deepak is very much experienced in testing, he would evaluate this project and he would tell us what are the test cases and what are the scenarios he is going to address. Today's discussion, this is what we are going to cover, that how exactly the variation of data should be there, email ID, domain, data validation, what is boundary field analysis, what is pen test, how do you validate the character validation, what happens if there is this amount in the loan amount, what are the different kinds of things we need to take care of, what is the UI base hitting, and a lot and lot things about testing such as test strategy, test plan, QA testing, UAT testing, test plan, defect management tool, scope, a lot of things we are going to talk about in this video. So if you are someone who is coming from a QA background and you want to know how actually testing happens in a real-time project, you guys can follow this tutorial. The video has got timestamp in the description. At any point of time, if you want to jump to any specific section, just feel free to go and click on the timestamp. I have put all the relevant links, details, speaker profile, Deepak's channel, everything in the description for your reference. Go ahead and check out that channel as well. Having said that, let's start with today's video, which is about testing in UiPath. Hi Deepak, I hope I'm audible. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi,
Okay.
Mukesh.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much, Deepak, for accepting the invite to give the insights on testing on the use case which we have built, right? So, Deepak, what I'm going to do today is that I'll just give you a quick background. For my audience, I have created a use case which was called a loan processing use case. We started with PDD, we created SDD, we developed the solution and we published, and the people are able to run the automation, right? Now there is a certain piece of audience which is coming from the testing background, which they wanted to know that if this is a real-time automation, we have done the business analyst part, we have done the development part. Now, what happens in the actual real-time testing, right? I'm not an expert in testing, so I thought of inviting you as a testing expert to give your insight that if it is a real-time automation, I'll give you all the scenarios. What would be your take on it and how would you initiate the testing there? Okay.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
So next what I'm going to do is I'm quickly going to share my screen and let me know if you are able to see that.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay. And for better connectivity, Deepak, I'm going to toggle off my video. Okay.
Yeah, same. I will also do it.
Okay. Fine. So you're able to see my screen. Okay.
Yes.
So quickly, I'm going to present you the use case, that how does it look. So this is a use case which is called the loan application automation. It is for banking and finance and the department is a loan. Okay. Now here there is a bank. On daily basis, the bank will receive emails, right? That email, this is the manual process, right? Where the person has to manually download the Excel from the email he has to see which all are the valid loan, which all are the invalid loan. He has to do some manual validation. If everything is okay with the loan application, he has to fill some application and get the loan approved. Did you understand the use case, Deepak, the problem statement?
Ye- Yes, yes.
Okay, now I am going to show you the files. Okay, so this is an email which I have received. So the banker, assuming that this is the banker file, and he will receive an email on the daily basis, right? So this would have an attachment such as loan data.csv, which would have attachment like this, right? Title, credit card number, some of the information where the person wants a bank loan amount, the term, and the yearly income. Okay, so this is an input data, right? Now, if you would see here, somewhere the email address is missing, somewhere the age is missing, somewhere this is missing, right? So that means that we cannot actually process the loan, right? So this is an input data which comes, right? Now I quickly jump to the PDD first, and that will give you the context that what we are trying to achieve, right? So it will start, it will read the loan email, download the attachment, save the Excel, open the UI bank application. This is a UI based application, enter the loan details, generate the loan ID and put the loan ID back to the Excel. Okay, and send an confirmation email. So this is the overall process which we have built in Robotics Enterprise Framework, right? To quickly demonstrate you, I'll show you some of the screenshot so that you understand that how does this happen. So this is an Excel. The person will open the Excel, they will validate, and they will validate if the data is proper. This is how the loan application looks like. It does not have a login because it's an open application. You just have to enter these details, email ID, loan term. Once you fill all these details, this website will give you something which is called loan number, and that loan number you just return it back to the Excel. Okay,
Okay.
so that is how the overall process look like. There are some of the business validation which we have considered here, such as, let me quickly show it to you. This one, receive the email, download the email attachment, read the CSV, revert with the loan ID, right? So some of the scenarios which we have to handle is this one, which we have taken, that if there is no email, there is an email without attachment, there is a CSV which is having no data, the loan term which is here, this one, the loan term, this should be only 1, 3, 5, and 10. The age should be less than 18, and the loan amount should be less than 3 times of the yearly income. So these are the conditions which we have handled in our automations. Okay.
Okay.
Any doubts on this automation, Deepak?
But how about the connectivity? So let's say if I'm
Hmm.
entering the loan term for 13 years or
Hmm.
maybe for more than that.
Huh.
So what would be the output? Let's say if I'm just adding 5 years, so do we have
Hmm.
any minimum or maximum cap of it?
Okay, so 1, 3, 5, and 10, what we are doing, Deepak, is we are downloading this email Excel from the attachment. We are downloading it here, and then we are filtering out the record whether it suffices or not, right? So for example, if you see, if this record is valid, if it will go and insert this data. For this record, the robot will check, and if it is 13, it will not only pick it from Excel.
Okay.
It will right away reject here, and it will say that the loan term is not valid, right?
So it means we have just cap for a fixed number one, three,
Yes.
five, and 10, right?
Right. 1, 3, 5, and
Okay.
10. Correct. Absolutely right. So this automation we have built, Deepak, the audience was able to follow along and they were able to build this automation with me. I have got that, yes, people are able to successfully complete it, right? Now,
Okay.
the situation is we have deployed this in the development orchestrator and people are running it from the orchestrator now, right? Now, if I have to give it to you, considering that you are an RPA testing manager in one of the company, and I give you this automation, what would be your ask from me, right? What should a developer give to you to start the testing, and what would be the prerequisite here?
Okay, so in terms of testing, let's say we have because this is a crucial part and this is important for the banking domain, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
banking domain are always working in the data part of it. Without
right.
data, we cannot test this complete applications. So definitely, I will need a variation of data,
Okay.
and that variations include
Hmm,
our minimum and maximum cap
hmm,
and which all exceptions we have handled in terms of other things like email ID. So
hmm,
let's say we have an email ID at the rate gmail.com. So is gmail.com is allowed, or we can just select for any specific domain. Let's say we
Okay.
are working for the city, or maybe we are working for the Yes Bank. So if this loan process is accepting application
Hmm.
ID which is
Hmm.
having ending with the domain name ending with the Yes Bank, or maybe with the Citibank.
Yes. So if I
Yeah,
understand it correctly, Deepak, so if you see here as of now, my
yeah,
robot or my viewers, whatever email ID we put, we are just putting whether the email ID is blank or not, right? So that is just a validation
okay,
check. But as a testing, your point is absolutely valid where I need to check whether this domain is correct or not, right? It should be
right.
Suprito or domain, right? Okay. That perfectly
Otherwise,
makes
what
sense.
will you
Yeah.
will end up with the spamming,
Hmm.
because you will find it out junk emails are also there. So
Okay.
to avoid this, probably we can fix some of the value
Hmm.
so that people who is authorized with that domain, they can only do the request, or maybe they can generate the loan ID.
Loan ID. Perfect. And this
Yeah.
variation of data, if I understand it correctly, it means that this is one data set. You would require more such data set, right? Maybe.
So not for the
Hmm,
everything. Let's
hmm,
say we are giving a number,
hmm,
a given name. So let's say I'm entering Terry.
hmm.
Terry, instead of Terry, let's say I'm just adding 1 to 3. So is this
Okay.
1 to 3 is accepting or not? So
Okay.
variations of data, it means for including for all the fields. So in
Hmm,
title name, let's say I'm adding special character. So special character is allowed or not? Because
hmm.
this complete application is related with the crucial data.
Correct.
And wherever there is a finance involved, because
Hmm.
here there is a finance involved, and some transaction related informations are involved. So if this type of scenarios will be there, we have to thoroughly test based on the data only.
Okay.
See, our logic is working fine.
Hmm,
Development team has done a very good job
hmm,
to build this applications, and this app, as you mentioned, this application is perfectly working fine.
hmm.
But in terms of testing, we have to majorly focus on the data point of view, as well as other end corner, or I can say boundary value analysis. So boundary value analysis, it means we have to capture minimum,
Hmm.
yeah, boundary value analysis. So
Okay.
minimum as well as maximum criteria,
Okay.
where we are calling as boundary value analysis. So
Hmm,
let's say you are fixing 1, 3, 5, and 10. So
hmm.
if I'm entering 15 or maybe less than that, is it
Yeah.
accepting or not? So this is the one scenario I mentioned.
Yeah.
But if we have to test it for the other scenarios, for the other columns, then also we have to cover the boundary value analysis. And at the end, security is also very important, because here we are working on privacy related data. This is customers data. We have to make sure that that data should not go anywhere else.
Right. 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 Understood. So a security test means what whether the application is able to retain the confidentiality of the information, right? The robot should maintain the
Yes,
confidentiality, right? Okay.
right, right,
I have some questions on this email part, Deepak, right? So this is one I have received from one of my viewer that as of now we are receiving this email on the daily basis from a particular guy, right? Let's say Mukesh.
right.
So this we
Yeah.
have mentioned in our config file, and the file name is also mentioned in the config file, right? So technically, what validation we have done, we are validating whether the attachment is there, whether the date is correct, whether the sender is correct, right? So if you
Yes.
have to write to test this part of, if I just, want to understand what would be the testing scenarios on the input validation here.
So input validations point of view, first, I will start with the attachment piece, where
Hmm,
I will verify the name.
hmm.
So as you mentioned, you have just entering the loan data as a
Loan
name.
data. Yeah.
Second is format. So
Hmm,
let's say you are targeting just for CSV and Excel format. So
yeah.
probably I will cover the other format. So if I'm attaching PDF documents, is it
Hmm, hmm.
accepting or not? If I'm
Okay.
attaching some other format data, let's say I'm attaching MP4 format, so
Okay.
is this email is verifying or not?
Hmm,
So,
hmm,
so in terms of format, we have to write several cases, which all
hmm,
formats we have, and test on it. So other than CSV and Excel, if it is not at all accepting, that is good enough.
hmm.
Because if at the end of you are accepting the text file, which is
Hmm.
not going to use anywhere, right?
Correct. Correct.
Uh, Coming down to the date format, so maybe the boundary value analysis for the date format is before 50 years and after 50 years. Let's
Okay.
say I'm adding a date
Hmm.
as to before 50 years, it means 1970. So
Hmm.
is it 1970? Because in database, if you'll consider 1970 is a cap limit
Hmm.
for this year. Might be
Okay.
that will change for the further part of the year.
Hmm.
And for the next 10 years or maybe next 50 years in the future, probably they will not allow, because here we are working on the crucial part. We are sending out the email on a daily basis, so it
Right.
will always go to the system and check out the informations, but past date is mandatory. So
Understood.
that
Understood.
that one thing.
Okay.
Other than that, we have to also verify the content as well.
Hmm.
So in the email, you have written a few of the lines. So
Yeah.
is this information is correct or not? In the
Hmm.
date format is matching with your subject date. So here your date is not matching. 27th of
Yes.
November 2022, and in subject name it's different.
Correct.
Then
Correct.
file attached name is
Hmm.
also correct or not. Then
Yeah.
in the bottom sections you have added few of the auto defined signatures. So is that signature is from the valid person, or that is coming from the different regions? So here the
Okay.
content of the email and something like that, because at the end this signature value and auto generated text which is available at the bottom of the body
Hmm.
is impacting to the brand. So
Right.
let's say I'm talking with one of the brand, like say TES Bank or SBI,
Hmm.
any of the banking domain industries. So this should be verified so that we can make sure that this data will be confidential, and we are getting this data from authorized person, not from the unauthorized person.
Hmm. Okay.
And
Okay.
absolutely fine to the two email as well. We have to verify the two email as well while writing. Our robot is writing the email ID,
Hmm.
that should with the proper email type of it. Let's say I'm just adding Mukesh Kala, so
Hmm.
Mukesh Kala is not a proper email ID. Otherwise the Mukesh Kala will not receive an email from any of the authorizations. So if I'm entering Mukesh Kala at the rate outlook.com, then only you will be able to receive the email.
Makes sense, Deepak. Okay. Talking about this date part, this also gives me a question, right? Let's say when we are entering the data, right? Here you have
Yeah.
something which is called age, and for some of the data, you have the date of birth also, right? So let's say when we are writing the test cases, do we consider this uh, boundary value analysis, 50-year data analysis in this age as well? Would you consider those scenarios in the age?
No. In data point of view, definitely you have validations in terms of age criteria. So the
Correct.
person
Yeah.
in the RBI guidelines.
Hmm.
So this is a normal body guidelines for every
Hmm.
country. So
Hmm.
in India we have RBI. So
Hmm.
in other country we might have different other regulatory who is
Yeah. Yeah.
controlling this type of regulations.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in probably in US, if we are targeting for the US or UK client, so probably they are not allowing to take the loan below 18 years. So
Hmm.
if the date of birth is greater than 18 years or equal to 18 years, then only that person is applicable to take a loan. Otherwise, they have to declare the dependent. So dependent who will take care of their loan body. So if
Hmm.
that minor body is not able to pay out the loan, then probably the dependent or guarantor will pay their loan on behalf of that loan taking person, right?
Hmm.
So definitely we can add the age level boundary value analysis, I can see,
Hmm.
where capping will be not less than 18 years. So whenever the person will enter less than 18 years, the application will get rejected.
Understood. Understood. Right. And so this was, we have done the validation here. We have done the validation on the input files, right? Now the next part is where we have to, simply go to this web portal. I can show it to you, which is a UI bank application, right? That looks something like this. This is an open portal which is created by UiPaths. It looks something like this, where we just go and apply for the loan, right? It does not have any
Yeah.
authentication, but yeah, this where you just insert this data, you click on submit loan application, and you just get some number, and we put that number back to the Excel, right? So from testing
Okay.
point of view, what would be your scenarios, to consider to test this part specifically?
So first, as I mentioned, because you have already mentioned in the very keynote.
Yeah.
This is open site. So
Yeah.
in security point of view, very important part is TTL certifications. So TTL is browser level certifications, and
Mm,
any institutions or any financial institution who is handling this type of regulatory body, they
mm.
have to be certified with the TTL certifications. Otherwise, this application will not at all approved by the regulatory.
Okay.
Regulatory, that means in India we have RBI,
Yeah.
and there are SICRA. SICRA
Mm,
is also regulating this type of regulatory. These
yeah.
are the terms from the banking domain, right?
Mm, mm.
So without the certifications, they will not qualify this applications for the end user. End user, it means your customer, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
once you click on this TTL certification, that should be valid, and certificate should be valid. You have to check it from your browser. Second thing, when we are filling out the data,
Mm,
they will do pen test. Pen test is a very important test, and by using few of the applications, the InfoSec team. So
mm.
generally, for the testing point of view, pen test they are performing with the
How do you
help of
spell pen? PEN or PAN, Deepak?
yeah, PEN, pen
Okay.
test.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So pen test is a very important factor for certifying this type of crucial applications which consumes consumer data, right?
Mm,
So once the pen test will be certified, then only this it will go to the regulatory. So this is in terms of security.
okay.
Coming down to the functionality testing, we have email ID. If you don't mind, can you go to the screen?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So in here, we have to thoroughly verify the email address of the requester. As I mentioned, this is the input box. So we have to verify with 5 criteria. If you want,
Correct.
you can write it down. One, so generally verifying the input validations, one criteria will be valid scenario. So
Mm,
the email ID should be perfect or accurate, as I mentioned.
okay.
Second is minimum and maximum allowed character within the body. Sometimes you will seen the email ID is very big.
Mm,
So let's
mm.
say I'm adding deepak.rai.rai multiple times. So
Okay.
minimum and
Okay.
maximum acceptable input for
Okay.
this input box. That
Mm,
is the second criteria.
okay.
Third is characters or alphanumeric or numeric. It means the type. So let's
Okay.
say I'm entering email ID. So email ID is always a combination of numbers, alphabet, and special characters.
Right.
But in special characters, you will have a certain label of special character. Not
Mm,
all the special characters will be allowed, right?
right.
So they can add the definition. So special characters are generally two types. One is non-printable characters,
Mm,
and one is printable characters.
okay.
So when we
Okay.
are including non-printable characters, that
Mm,
non-printable characters will not allowed in email ID. Even you cannot
understood.
see that
Mm,
everywhere, but
okay. So,
printable characters are allowed. So
so you
printable
want me to
characters are
say, you mean to
yes,
say, Deepak, that whenever we are reading any input from this, we would
yes,
first, these characters, I would have to, create some kind of a repository where I'll validate, like that, the testers will do.
yes. We have to
Okay.
validate it,
Okay. For each and every character, whether that character is available in the email or not, right?
right?
Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
So
Thank you, Deepak. Yeah.
that's why I said it's variation. So
Yes. Yes.
this application to be tested is totally on data point of view.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that
Hmm.
was my third scenario
Yeah.
for verifying input text box.
Yeah.
Fourth is again special character verification. So if I am just adding special character or null value
Okay.
without entering any of the value, I am proceeding further. So definitely I should get some prompt. This is required, something
Yes.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And fifth is totally on non-printable characters. If I am adding non-printable characters, so these 5 criteria, and this varies depending on the input box. So if this is a password thing, so password will have different other variations.
Correct. Correct.
But majorly for verification of any input box, these are the important factor which we
Hmm.
have to verify. Then next is loan amount. Loan
Hmm.
amount is always numbers.
Numbers like
We
this. Yeah.
cannot add the alphanumeric value, right? But
Correct.
if as a tester, I have to verify that as well. If
Hmm.
I'm entering just alphabetic or maybe alphanumeric value, which
Hmm.
is a combination of alphabet plus number, is it accepting or not? So this will comes under negative testing. So we have to verify positive as well as negative both the
Negative testing.
scenarios, so
Understood.
that we will have that applications to be perfect in front of end user.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. Next is
Yes.
loan
Yes.
term. Loan term is a drop down list. So probably this is not going to make much difference because we have the input and available already in the applications. So we
Application.
we were just selecting.
Yeah.
But here we have to just verify if we are going ahead without selecting loan term, I'm able to
Hmm.
apply or not. So that's the
Correct.
again
Correct.
negative scenario.
Right. So without selecting if it is allowing you or not, right? And if you are
Yes.
selecting that, what is the error you are getting, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that as a tester you should have, right? So as a developer, when I was coding, I never thought of what happens if I put an alphanumeric, right? Because
Right.
I just believe that yes, this would be always an integer, but yes, from a QA point of view, that becomes important, right? Again, this thing is again the same thing, the yearly income, which is coming again
Right.
from here, right? So the same
Yes.
concept would apply here as well, right?
Right.
Right. Okay. And what
Age.
about,
Age
yeah,
should
age?
have
Yeah.
some barrier, as I mentioned, right? We
Yeah.
have to keep means totally depending on the country regulatory authority,
Hmm.
for which age generations they are allowing. When we
Hmm.
will have an age more than 70 years,
Hmm.
probably few of the banks will not give you a loan as well, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that is considered as the start or end of the age criteria. So
Right.
these two cases should be covered.
Right. And one more thing, Deepak, when I was coding and I was teaching this, what we taught that we are assuming that this website would be always up.
Right.
Right. So that is our, assumption that when we go here, I'll always land on this page, right? So as a
Right.
QA, if you have to test some scenarios for the browsing of the website, right? Or before browsing, I would say even opening of that browser, what would be those scenarios in terms of, browsing the URL, opening the browsers?
Can you scroll little bit up? I've just covered the functionality cases, looking out the application, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of the testing of that loan applications, we
Mhm.
have a logo as well. Logo
Right.
is a very much important part. So that is the branding or
This one?
face value, or yes, face value. So
Okay.
let's say we are working for the Yes Banks, SBI or Citi, any of the bank.
Hmm.
When the logo is perfect, then only this will make sense for them, because ultimately this is creating brand awareness, right?
Right.
So as a user point of view, this is also very much important, and this will go under UI testing.
Hmm.
So UI testing, we have to cover like color and all,
Hmm.
to verify the color on branding, logo or image,
Hmm.
font style, these are accurate or not. Even in the right sections, we have product and login. There's one more tab. So these value also we have to get it verified. Products
Okay.
and login. Yes.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Coming down to your question,
Hmm.
the application is up or running or not.
Hmm.
So there are two scenario for doing this. Either we can go ahead with just UI, hitting out this URL into multiple screens,
Hmm.
or maybe with multiple browser. That is
Hmm.
called as compatibility testing. So in
Yes. Yes.
compatibility testing, we have different format. Let's say the complete UI is clearly visible in other browser or not.
Hmm.
And then compatibility for mobile application as well. Let's say I'm opening same application into my
Hmm.
mobile device. How it looks, the user is able to fill out the form or not,
Hmm.
something like that. So we have to verify on that point of view. But if it is totally dedicated for the web-based applications, then that's absolutely fine. We are anyway we will state it like this is not applicable for mobile application. Coming down to the testing of the up and running scenario or URL link,
Hmm.
first is either we have to go ahead, open the browser and enter it.
Hmm.
Otherwise, we have to verify it through backend. So wherever
Okay.
this is deployed, let's say it is deployed on IAS server.
Hmm.
From the IAS server, we can hit the ping. So
Hmm.
once the ping is, we are getting the ping from there. Probably we can call it out. This URL is working.
Okay. And that could be done with the help of some utilities like CMD and all, right? Where you just
Yes, yes,
ping the
right.
IP and see whether the response is coming, right?
Yes,
Okay.
there are
Okay.
several other applications also there.
Hmm.
We have to, as a part of performance testing, if I'm pinging continuously to this application, how this application is behaving, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So for that, we are using JMeter.
Right. What
So
is that?
as a part of performance, JMeter. JMeter is one of the application. J
Okay.
M
J.
E T E R.
Okay. J meter. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
So
Okay. So what else, Deepak, in terms of data here?
So coming down to the data part, we have different sections. So every column or field value will varies. When we are talking about CC type is not only restricted with Visa and Mastercard. Might be the person is owning some other vendors like
Okay.
RuPay or some other. So this application is accepting payments from the other cards as well as vendors
Hmm.
as a in American Express, we have different paymaster. So probably that is accepting or not, because if you've seen for many of the digital payment device is not accepting the payment from the American Express. So
Correct.
that's a different thing. So we have to make sure that this credit card type should accept the payment from the all the vendors. Otherwise, we are creating restrictions for ourselves as well, right? So this is at the end going to financially impact to the owner
Hmm.
or the application owner, right? So
Hmm.
might be I'm just carrying the American Express card and this application is not accepting my card, then probably I will they will lose me, right? So
Right.
that's not accepted. Then CC number is always the numeric, so it we
Hmm.
have to verify the alphanumeric or just with the special character and all.
Right. Right.
So that should accept only numerically, not
Correct.
even with the
Dot
floating.
zero.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Age we
And
have discussed.
yeah.
Yeah. Under occupations, so occupations is we cannot add restrictions. So nowadays we can add just restrictions in point of input value. So
Right.
if I'm adding occupations 1 to 3, that should not be acceptable, because here maybe we can allow occupations as a part of alphanumeric value. The
Hmm.
reason behind it, some
Hmm.
of the occupations probably end user will enter their role or designations. Let's say
Right.
AVP2 or manager 2,
Yeah.
or because
Yeah.
these are the grading system followed in many of the organizations, right?
Hmm.
So in occupations, we can keep just alphanumeric validation. Other than that, that should not accept any value. Telephone number we have already discussed.
Yeah.
Coming down to the city. So cities again, if we have country as well, so country should have their own set of specific city.
Hmm.
So let's say I'm just targeting for India, and
Hmm.
if I'm selecting the country as a India and city from London, that should not accept. We have the proper hierarchy. So
Mapping.
validation,
Yeah.
yes, that mapping is very much important.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Perfect. City, state, and country mapping should be proper, right? It should
Yes,
not
yes,
happen that
and
anybody put anything and you just answer yes.
right, right.
Yeah. Okay.
Because generally city is a drop-down field, and even state and country is a drop-down field, which
Hmm.
is created under the applications.
Hmm.
So this should be mandatory. Loan amount, again, we have discussed. Term also we have discussed. We are just accepting application from
Hmm.
1, 3, 5, and 10. So
Right.
yearly income is again a number value.
Number value. Yeah.
Other than that, we have discussed on the formatting section. So let's say we are not getting any value in terms of email address. Email address is not
This
there,
one.
or some
Yeah.
fields are not there.
Hmm.
So if there is any restrictions on a required value,
Hmm.
wherever the star mark is there within the applications,
Hmm.
probably that will become a required value. So without required value, the application should not proceed further. It should throw an error message.
Yes. Yes.
And there is different format for the error as well.
Hmm.
So few of the errors related to the functionality, which where whichever fields is not there, probably we have to verify the error message as well.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have seen in many of the applications it's throwing error with the HTML text, right? But that is not a proper, that is not for the end user. So
Yeah.
let's say I'm just entering random value and
Hmm.
we are getting error, any random error.
Right.
Might be that error is a junk error. So we have to verify the error message as well. Some of
Yes.
the error from the backend. So let's say our server is down. So we should get error message or server is not responding, something like that. And
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
will be credited by the product owner itself.
Yes, that is important. One is then application error validation, and one is which
Yes.
the server error which might give you, right? Server error
Right.
validations, right? Yeah, that
Application,
perfectly
it means the field level error.
correct, correct.
Field level error, we will get it from the input box. Second is
Yeah,
server type of error.
yeah.
And a few of the error, just like gateway is not responding. So
Hmm,
that is
hmm,
from the transactional end. So three types of error we are expecting for all of the applications.
hmm.
And fourth error might be if we have this applications in terms of API. So API interface and middleware interface are different, right? So
Yeah.
if we are getting from the API, so API error is a different and middleware error is a different.
Okay, okay. That makes sense, Deepak. I'll just note it down. Okay. Fine. So that is pretty much we have covered all of these. So for the viewers, what I'll do is I'll put this in the video description so you guys can just copy and paste. And that is a pretty much a lot of things, Deepak, which we have covered in term of testing, right? My next question, Deepak, to you would be for an RPA QA, right? So this is what a general QA does, right? So for
Right,
example, if I as a developer have developed this automation, I am running this automation from my orchestrator, right? Now you
right,
are a testing manager, right?
right,
Deepak is a testing manager who has to get this process into the testing, right? So the
right.
first question would be, what all things Deepak would request from the developers? First, I would say you would require a NuGet package, right? That is the code, something which I
Right.
know, I'll write it down, such as the PDDs, the SDDs, right? Maybe the unit test cases. This is what I understand from a dev point of view. But as a testing manager, apart from these things, what are you going to ask the developer or the dev team?
With some set of data, some of the organizations, they have product owner, so
Okay.
data variations or structure will be required.
Mm,
Then few other scenario in terms of business point of view.
mm,
Business is always looking in the different aspects because
right.
they want to make a money, right?
Mm,
So
mm,
from the business point of view, we'll need a few of the scenarios, not from the developer. Generally that is coming from product owner or from the business people.
okay.
So
Okay.
these things are enough to start with it.
Mhm.
Coming down to how should I approach
How should I?
for
Yeah.
testing?
Yeah.
Yes. So for that, initially, I will note down all these requirements because
Mm,
we have PDD and SDD documents.
yeah.
So based on that, we'll create a test strategy. How should I proceed with it?
Okay.
So test strategy is my first case,
Mm,
and I will share this test strategy with the all the team members or all the stakeholders, which we can call it out.
mm,
Then after that, test plan. So test strategy, we are just creating a boundary where I will use this managed resource. How should I proceed it further?
mm,
Which all environments will be required? So because
yeah.
environment plays a very important role.
Right.
Sometimes organizations will have two testing team. One is
Mm,
QA and second is UAT.
right.
So
Right.
UAT testing is nothing but exactly same like production testing.
Mm,
And QA is a bit inclined towards a development team because they
correct.
have to do unit testing and other testing as well.
Mm,
So their environment is exactly replica of development environment, but UAT environment is altogether a replica of production environment, which
yeah.
is also called as pre-production environment. So if we have an instance on server,
Mm,
like one instance which contains 1 TB of space and all. So exactly same replica we want for the UAT team as well. So that
correct.
they will get a complete environment to start with it. So environment plays an important role here. So first I will go ahead with the test strategy, then test plan.
Mm,
After that, once the test plan is approved from the
mm,
product owner or
mm,
from the business team,
mm.
probably we'll starting with the writing of test cases. So from the writing
Okay.
of the test case, we have few of the applications which we can use it.
Okay.
So rather than writing, just going to the applications and write it down all the scenarios.
Mm,
So we have applications, you have to just perform the steps and it will automatically write test cases for you.
okay.
So this type of applications will be fruitful to use it.
Any
And
example, Deepak, for one such example of any application which we can use for writing test cases?
so there is a one applications created by Selectors Hub.
Okay.
This is the add-on. So you have to just add this add-on into your Google,
Okay. Okay.
and from that add-on, you can generate the test cases. So
Understood.
if you are
Understood. Yeah.
performing the steps, you are
Hmm.
just clicking on button. So
Hmm.
it will record your step and convert into the test cases. So you have to
Perfect.
just copy and paste it to some of the applications.
Right.
Other than
Okay.
that, we are also following some of the application for the monitoring point of view.
Hmm.
Let's say I found some of the defects. So where should I raise this defect?
Right.
So this application point of view, either I will need Jira or Mantis. These are the applications where we are reporting the defects.
Defect
And
management tool
even,
require, right?
yes, defect management tool will be required.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
after all this the requirement analysis will be done, post that taking the scope of testing. So once the test cases is ready, we are uh, concluding with the product owner, and that this is our scope of testing. If he wants to make some changes,
Hmm.
probably he will suggest, he or she will suggest, and after that we'll start the testing. So this
Okay.
is how the approach will work. And at the end, once the execution will be completed, might be we have some defect,
Hmm. Hmm.
might be we have regular calls or status emails. So
Hmm.
these will be regular activity which we can follow
Hmm.
throughout the testing. And finally, once the testing will be completed, we have to share the execution report with all of them,
Hmm.
with all our findings, with all our defect cycles, which all
Yeah.
test cases we have executed, which are all challenges we have faced.
Hmm.
With all these observations, we will submit it. And finally, once we are done, we will share the test closure report. That's the way of testing. That's standard way of testing.
Okay, okay, perfect. So Deepak, there is a lot which testing guys do, and it requires a different kind of skill set what actually a developer or a business analyst have, right?
Yeah,
Now, audience is specifically interested is from coming from the RPA background, right? So if I
yeah,
have to ask you that, since you are very much expert in the testing, if somebody is interested, right? Any fresher, let's take an example, right? A guy who's
yeah.
having 1 year, 2 years of experience, or somebody coming from a career break and they want to start with testing, specifically RPA, from RPA point of view, right? Where they
Yeah.
should get started, right? What would be your recommendation there?
So basic is always required. So if
Yeah,
your base is clear, probably you are creating a strong foundation, right? So
yeah,
first you'll start understanding the basic concept of testing. So
okay,
probably few of the viewers will not understand what is test strategy, what
yeah,
is testing documentation, what is test
absolutely.
closure report. So first they have to understand these all terminologies.
Hmm,
Once they are good with it,
hmm,
probably they will start with the RPA part of it. But
hmm,
before that, if this is a jargon for them, right? Because
hmm,
this is
hmm,
too technical for them. So
yeah,
that will become a jargon for them. So
okay,
if they will understand the basic of testing, then only they will proceed ahead with the RPA testing. A
okay,
few of the tools required to be learned,
hmm,
like either one
hmm,
defect management tool
hmm,
and one test management tool, because
okay, yeah,
all the requirements, all the test cases will be logged within that tool.
hmm,
So that is the minimal requirement, one defect management and one test management tool.
okay,
Post that creation of some of the documents, the small terminology, how we can create a test cases and all,
yeah,
then mm, logging the defects, how we
hmm.
can log the defects. So these are the small steps they can take it, and post that we can enter into the RPSS.
I'll just go to your channel, Deepak, right? So you can guide. So if somebody wants to directly get started with testing, right? So let's say today Mukesh is
Yeah.
coming and I want to start my testing journey. I don't know anything about testing, right? So I land to
Yeah.
this channel and then I go
Yeah.
to
From the
where?
playlist, software testing playlist.
I'll go to playlist and here, just guide me, Deepak, okay? Wherever you see the
Software
Confluence.
testing,
Okay, you
you
have
will
a
have,
lot of this one,
yeah,
software testing.
yes,
Okay. So
yes,
what
yes.
I'll do is I'll directly publish this link in the description. Okay. So that people can directly click on that. Let me just quickly open this one. Okay. So
So here I've covered all this, how to write the test cases,
yeah,
then how to log a defect,
yeah,
what is HPLM,
yeah,
then how to prepare the test plan, test strategy. So
yes.
by going through all this contents, the person will become a perfect in the basic terminology of the software testing.
Hmm,
And
hmm.
then once they'll start with the RPA, they will not find out any hurdles. within it.
Yes,
And
yes.
see,
Yeah.
drafting the scenario and everything will be same, even for the RPA as well. But in terms of using RPA tools,
Hmm,
so for the RPA tools, we have to use test suite,
hmm,
UiPath test suite.
hmm.
Second is the test manager. So UiPath test tools is one of the applications which we can use it for building all our test automation.
Okay.
And test manager, from there we are triggering. So if we have the test manager, we don't need even orchestrator. So
Yes.
all the test cases we can push into the test manager, and from there we can trigger it. So for learning those, maybe who is watching this video, probably they can refer UiPath Academy, and from
Right.
the UiPath Academy they will get good insight about UiPath test suite and test manager, and based on that they can start with it.
Yeah. So the idea is same, Deepak, right? So whosoever wants to get into the RPA testing or the RPA QA side, first of all, they need to have a basics of testing, right? Because when you were talking to me, I don't coming from a testing background, right? So I don't understand what is a test plan, what is a test strategy, right? And I believe the
Right.
people who are following this playlist, I can see you have explained the defect lifecycle, how do you write test cases in Excel, right? You have explained all of
Right.
this, right? So once I have the basic at least of the testing, that how is the testing, I understand the jargons of testing, then I can go to the UiPath Academy and I can start working on the testing test suite and all those bits, right? So that will
Yes.
make more sense then, right?
Right.
Okay. Perfect, Deepak. So that is all pretty much, Deepak, we wanted to cover. This session has been extremely insightful. Okay. So I'll post all your social media links on my description. So people who are watching this, and if not only this testing, right, Deepak has a lot of other stuff which he does. If you would see the playlist, you have for Jira automation, you have for Jira REST API, test rigor, Confluence, Zendesk, right? There is a lot of variety of material which is available. So you can feel free to explore and subscribe to his channel as well, right? If you have any more questions, any more doubts, so Deepak, I'll post your social media links so people will reach out to you. Okay.
Thank you,
Final
Mukesh.
question, Deepak. How was your
Yeah.
experience with this kind of interview sessions?
So generally talking on any general perspective is very good. I love to connect with you regularly. Even I'm generally you have a good content on your path and development suits, and you are coming with some of the good examples, which is industry standard examples. By learning that, I've seen many of the posts. So this is a nice experience, I can say.
Okay,
At the
perfect.
end, our motto is to help others.
Yes,
That
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes, yes. Okay. And Deepak, one last thing. If somebody is reaching out for a QA based interview, right? So because I
Yeah.
usually take mock interview on the developer part, right? I'm not an expert. So I'll forward all the QA interviews to you guys. Okay. So after
Okay,
watching
that's
this video,
perfect.
whosoever wants to judge their knowledge on testing, right? And you can reach out to me or you can directly reach out to Deepak, right? So Deepak would be able to conduct a mock interview for the people, right? Right, Deepak?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay,
sure.
fine. So that is a win-win, guys. So let us know your feedback. With this, we'll wrap this video here. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please do subscribe to Deepak's channel and my channel as well. And if you have any more comments, any more doubts, feel free to reach out via the comments or you can drop us an email as well.